I never thought a Saturday afternoon cleaning the garage would destroy my entire marriage. But there I was, elbow deep in dusty cardboard boxes, when I found it. A shoebox tucked behind old paint cans, wrapped in a plastic grocery bag like someone was hiding it. My husband Ryan and I had been married for 8 years. Good years mostly. We had our mortgage, our routines, our Friday night pizza tradition. He worked in IT, I taught 3rd grade. Normal life. Boring even. That's why what I found made absolutely no sense. Inside the shoebox were letters, not old yellowed letters from decades ago. These were recent. Printed emails, handwritten notes on fresh paper, some with coffee stains that still smelled faintly of hazelnut. All addressed to Ryan. All signed Claire. All dated within the last 6 months. My hands shook as I read the first one. My darling Ryan, I miss you so much it physically hurts. Last Tuesday wasn't enough time. I need more of you. I know this is complicated, but we'll figure it out. We always do. All my love, Claire. Claire, his first wife. The woman who supposedly died in a car accident 10 years ago, 3 years before I even met Ryan. I sat on the cold concrete floor, reading letter after letter. They talked about meeting at hotels, about stolen moments, about how much they loved each other, about their special place by the lake. One letter mentioned our anniversary, which would have been last April, right when Ryan told me he had that 3-day conference in Chicago. My stomach turned. This couldn't be real. Claire was dead. Ryan had shown me her obituary when we first started dating. He'd been so broken up about it, took him years to move on, or so he said. We'd even visited her grave once, early in our relationship, when he wanted me to meet her. I remembered standing there, looking at that headstone, feeling grateful that he'd found love again after such tragedy. Except the headstone was apparently a lie. The death was a lie. Everything was a lie. I heard Ryan's truck pull into the driveway. He was back from Home Depot. I quickly shoved the letters back in the box and hid it behind the Christmas decorations. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. "Hey, babe," Ryan called out, walking into the garage with bags of mulch. "How's the cleaning going?" I looked at my husband. This man I'd shared a bed with for 8 years. This man I'd planned to grow old with and realized I didn't know him at all. "Fine," I managed to say, my voice surprisingly steady. "Just fine." That night, I couldn't sleep. Ryan snored peacefully beside me while I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. Was Claire really alive? If so, where was she? Did she know about me? Was Ryan living some kind of double life? And that grave we visited? Whose grave was it really? I thought about all the late nights Ryan worked, all the conferences and business trips. Last year, he'd gone to Cleveland 4 times for client meetings. Was that where Claire was? Had he been with her? The worst part was his face. Ryan looked so peaceful sleeping there, like he didn't have a care in the world, like he wasn't possibly the world's biggest liar. Like he hadn't built our entire relationship on the corpse of a woman who apparently wasn't even dead. By 3 a.m, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to confront him yet. I needed proof. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. Because either my husband was having an affair with someone pretending to be his dead wife, which was insane, or his first wife had faked her death and they'd been together this whole time, which was even more insane. I got up quietly and went to the garage. I took photos of every single letter with my phone. Then I Googled Claire Morrison and car accident and 2015, the year Ryan said she died. Nothing came up. I tried different search combinations. Still nothing. Then I searched just Claire Morrison and our city name, and there, on the third page of results, I found a Facebook profile. The photo was small, privacy settings on high, but I could see enough. A woman with long auburn hair, probably late 30s, standing in front of a house I didn't recognize. I clicked on the profile. It said she lived in Riverside, a town about 40 minutes away, worked as a dental hygienist. And there, in her relationship status, it said, "It's complicated." Yeah, lady. I bet it is. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. I never called in sick. My principal, Mrs. Henderson, sounded genuinely concerned, asking if I needed anything. If only she knew what I actually needed. Answers: a divorce lawyer, maybe a psychiatrist. Ryan left for work at his usual time, kissing me on the forehead like he always did. "Feel better, babe," he said. "I'll pick up soup on my way home." The second his truck disappeared down the street, I was in his home office. I knew his laptop password. We'd always been open about that stuff, or so I thought. Funny how a marriage built on supposed trust becomes a treasure hunt for lies. His email was a goldmine. I found dozens of messages from an account called clairebeart24@gmail.com. They went back years. Not just months, years. I scrolled back to 2018, just a year after Ryan and I got married. There it was, a message from Claire. "I can't do this anymore. We need to tell her." But they never told me. Obviously. I kept reading, my coffee getting cold beside me. Claire had wanted to come clean multiple times. Ryan always talked her out of it. "Just a little longer," he'd say. "The timing isn't right. She wouldn't understand. We need to be careful." Careful. That was his favorite word, apparently. Be careful. Stay careful. We've been so careful. There were hotel receipts attached to emails. Photos of them together at restaurants I'd never been to, looking happy and in love. In one picture, Claire was wearing a necklace, a silver heart on a chain. I recognized it immediately. Ryan had that same necklace in his sock drawer. He told me it was his mom's, that he couldn't bear to get rid of it after she passed. Another lie. I found their text message thread next. Thousands of messages. Claire called him Rye. They had inside jokes. They talked about TV shows they watched together. There was a whole relationship here, running parallel to ours, like train tracks that should never meet. One text from 3 weeks ago stopped me cold. "Rye, I can't keep doing this. I'm 40 years old. I want a real life, not whatever this is. Either leave her or I'm done." Ryan's response: "Claire, please, you know it's not that simple. I love you. I've always loved you. Just give me a little more time." I slammed the laptop shut. I couldn't read anymore. I felt like I was drowning, like the walls of our house were closing in. This wasn't just an affair. This was a whole other life. A whole other marriage, maybe. I drove to Riverside. I don't even remember making the decision. I just found myself in the car, GPS directing me to the address I'd found on Claire's Facebook. 43 minutes of highway, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. The house was small, a yellow bungalow with white shutters and a garden full of tulips. Claire's car, a blue Honda Civic, was in the driveway. I sat across the street for 20 minutes, trying to decide what to do. Knock on her door? Wait for her to come out? Drive away and pretend I'd never found those letters? Then the front door opened, and there she was. Claire, very much alive. She was wearing scrubs, those colorful ones with cartoon teeth on them, and carrying a coffee mug. She locked her door, walked to her car, and drove away, probably heading to work. I should have followed her. I should have confronted her right there. Instead, I just sat there, crying in my car like an idiot, watching this ghost woman live her very real, very alive life. When I got home, I found Ryan's wedding ring on his desk. Next to it was a Post-it note in his handwriting, "Ring resize appointment Thursday 3 p.m. I picked up the ring, turned it over. Inside the band was an engraving I'd never noticed before. R plus, C forever. R and C, Ryan and Claire. Not Ryan and me, Ryan and Emma, that's my name by the way. I'm Emma, the other wife. The fake wife, maybe. I opened his desk drawer, looking for the receipt for the ring resize. Instead, I found a key. Small, brass, with a tag attached that said, "Storage Unit 247, Lock and Keep Facility." Bingo. The Lock and Keep storage facility was on the edge of town, squeezed between a car wash and a Mexican restaurant. I'd driven past it 100 times and never given it a second thought. Now, standing in front of Unit 247, I felt like I was about to open Pandora's box. The key turned easily. The metal door rolled up with a screech. Inside was a life I never knew existed. Furniture, a couch, a coffee table, a bed frame. Boxes labeled Claire plus Ryan wedding and Christmas 2014. Framed photos of them together, smiling on beaches and at fancy dinners. A collection of DVDs, books with both their names written inside the covers. Kitchen stuff, clothes, everything you'd have if you were a married couple who lived together. There was a filing cabinet in the corner. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside were documents, legal documents. And right on top was a marriage certificate for Ryan Mitchell and Claire Morrison, dated June 2008. Never divorced, never annulled. Still legally married. Underneath were bank statements for a joint account I'd never heard of. Ryan had been depositing money into it every month, about $2,000. My mind raced, doing the math. That was money from our account. Money I thought was going to his 401k. Money he told me was our retirement fund. There were lease agreements too. Ryan had been renting an apartment in Riverside for the past 6 years, the same address as Claire's yellow bungalow. He'd been paying that rent. He'd been living there, at least part-time. I found a calendar hanging on the wall, marked up with Ryan's handwriting, color-coded, blue for home with Emma, red for with Claire. The pattern was clear. He'd alternate weeks, sometimes days. When he told me he was working late, he was with Claire. When he said he had early morning meetings, he was leaving from her place. The Cleveland trips, the Chicago conference. The weekend he said he went camping with his college buddies. All red, all with Claire. How had I not seen it? How had I been so blind? I sat on their couch, his and Claire's couch, and called my sister Rachel. She answered on the second ring. "Rach, I need you to not freak out," I said, my voice barely steady. "Emma, what's wrong?" I told her everything, the letters, the Facebook profile, the storage unit. Rachel listened without interrupting, which wasn't like her at all. When I finished, there was silence. Then, "Emma, where are you right now?" "At a storage unit." His storage unit. Their storage unit. "Get out of there and come to my house. Right now. Don't go home. Don't talk to Ryan. Just come here." But I couldn't leave yet. I needed more answers. I found a photo album tucked between 2 boxes. Inside were pictures from their wedding, a small ceremony on a beach somewhere tropical. Claire in a simple white dress, Ryan in khakis and a white shirt, barefoot in the sand. They looked young, maybe mid-20s. They looked happy. They looked in love. There were pictures from after, too. Holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, a whole life documented in photos. And then, around 2015, the pictures stopped. The year Ryan told me Claire died. The year he supposedly became a widower. But she didn't die. So what happened? I found a journal in one of the boxes. Claire's handwriting. I flipped to an entry from March 2015. Ryan wants to move for his new job, but I can't leave my family, my practice, my whole life here. We've been fighting about it for months. I told him he should go if the job is that important. He says he won't leave me. But I can see it in his eyes. He's already gone. Another entry from June 2015. We decided to separate. Not divorce, just separate. We still love each other, but we want different things right now. Ryan's moving to Fairfield for the job. I'm staying here. Maybe some time apart will help us figure things out. Or maybe this is the beginning of the end. I don't know anymore. And then, from October 2015, Ryan called today. He met someone, a teacher named Emma. He says it's nothing serious, but I can hear it in his voice. He sounds happy, lighter than he's been in months. I should be upset, but honestly, I'm almost relieved. Maybe this is what we both need to move on. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely read the next entry, from December 2015. Ryan asked if he could tell Emma I died. He says it would be easier, cleaner than explaining our situation. He says if Emma thinks I'm dead, there's no threat of me coming back, no complicated conversations. I should have said no. I should have told him that was insane. But I didn't. I said okay, 'cause some part of me thought maybe we really were done, and this would help both of us move on. I was so stupid. So stupid. I closed the journal. I felt sick. They'd faked her death. Not just Ryan, both of them. It was a mutual decision to lie, to create this whole elaborate story so Ryan could start fresh with someone new, with me. And then apparently, they couldn't stay apart. The entries continued, getting more recent. By 2017, they were seeing each other again. By 2018, they'd decided they couldn't let each other go. By 2019, Ryan was living a full double life. Married to me legally, I assumed, but still married to Claire in his heart. Maybe legally, too. The final entry was from last week. I told Ryan I can't do this anymore. I want to be his real wife again, not his secret. He says he'll figure it out. He always says that. But I don't think he will. I think he wants both of us, and that's just not possible. Something has to give. Someone has to break. I guess that someone was going to be me. I didn't go to Rachel's house. I went home. I needed to face Ryan. I needed to hear him try to explain this. He got home at 6:30, carrying bags from the Chinese place we liked. "Hey, babe," he called out, like it was any other Monday. "Feeling better? I got you wonton soup." I was sitting at the kitchen table, my laptop open in front of me. I'd printed out some of the emails, some of the photos, the marriage certificate, all of it spread out like evidence at a crime scene. Ryan stopped in the doorway. The color drained from his face. "Emma, is Claire your wife?" I asked, my voice surprisingly calm. "Legally, is she still your wife?" He set the food down slowly. "It's not what you think." "Really? Because what I think is that you've been married to 2 women at the same time for 8 years. What I think is that you and Claire faked her death so you could start over with me. What I think is that you've been living with her part-time while pretending to be a devoted husband to me. So please, Ryan, tell me what it actually is." He sank into a chair across from me. "We never divorced," he said quietly. "Claire and I, we separated. I moved here for work. We were going to divorce eventually, but we never did. And then I met you, and you lied to me from day one. I didn't know how to tell you. At first, I thought Claire and I were really done. The separation was supposed to be the end. But then you asked about my past relationships, and I panicked. I said she died because it was easier than explaining that my marriage fell apart." So you fabricated a death. Claire agreed to it. We thought it would give us both a clean slate. Except you didn't stay away from each other. I pushed the photos across the table. You've been with her this whole time. Ryan put his head in his hands. I tried to let her go. I swear I tried. But we have history, Emma. 17 years together. You can't just erase that. So you kept us both. I love you. I love her too. I know that sounds insane, but it's the truth. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else could I do? You don't love me, Ryan. You can't love someone and lie to them every single day for 8 years. You can't love someone and make them the other woman in their own marriage. You're not the other woman. Our marriage is real. Is it? Are we legally married? Or did you commit bigamy? His silence was answer enough. Oh my God. The reality hit me. Our marriage isn't legal, is it? You never divorced Claire, so you couldn't legally marry me, which means I've been, what? Your long-term girlfriend? Your live-in mistress? Emma, please. I want you out. I stood up. Pack a bag. Go to Claire's. Go to hell. I don't care. But you need to leave right now. Let me explain. Explain what? I was yelling now, 8 years of lies erupting out of me. Explain how you spent our vacation fund on rent for your other life. Explain how you've been sleeping in her bed on the nights you told me you were working late. Explain how you bought me a wedding ring that was engraved for her. Ryan's eyes widened. He didn't know I'd found that. Yeah, I saw it. R+C, forever. Were you planning to tell me on our 10th anniversary, our 20th? Or were you just going to keep both of us dangling forever? I never meant to hurt you, but you did. You destroyed me, Ryan. You took 8 years of my life and made them a lie. He started crying, actual tears running down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back the years I wasted on a fake marriage. Sorry doesn't undo the humiliation of being the idiot wife who didn't know her husband had a whole other life. I walked to the bedroom and threw some of his clothes in a duffel bag. When I came back, he was still sitting there staring at the evidence on the table. Did Claire know about me? I asked. Did she know the whole time? He nodded. She wanted me to tell you. She felt guilty. I kept promising I would, and then I never did. At least Claire had a conscience. That was something, I guess. Get out, I said again. I'll have a lawyer contact you about dividing assets, though I'm not even sure what I'm entitled to, given that our marriage was never real. Ryan stood up, grabbed the duffel bag. At the door, he turned back. Emma, I really did love you. I know you don't believe me, but it's true. Love doesn't look like this. Ryan, whatever you think you feel, it's not love. Love is honest. Love is faithful. Love doesn't build itself on lies and graves and fake deaths. So no, you didn't love me. You loved the idea of having everything you wanted without having to choose. But life doesn't work that way. You have to choose. I know that now. Then go choose. Go back to Claire, if that's what you want. Just leave me out of it. He left. I watched his truck pull away, probably heading to Riverside, to Claire, to his real wife. The one he apparently couldn't live without. I sat on the porch until the sun went down, letting everything sink in. My marriage was over. It had never even been real. I was going to have to tell my family, my friends, my principal. I'd have to explain that the last 8 years were a sham. That I'd been living a lie without even knowing it. But I was also free. Free from the lies. Free from the gaslighting. All those times he made me feel crazy for questioning where he'd been, who he'd been with. free from a man who valued his comfort over my dignity. Rachel showed up around 9, letting herself in with her spare key. She didn't say anything, just sat next to me and held my hand. "I'm going to be okay," I told her. And I meant it. It would take time. It would be ugly and painful and messy, but I would be okay. Because here's what I learned. You can't build a real life on fake deaths and secret wives. You can't love two people the way Ryan tried to. Eventually, the truth comes out. It always does. And when it does, you have to decide who you want to be. The person who enables the lies or the person who walks away. I chose to walk away, and that was the first honest thing to happen in my marriage in 8 years. What about you? Have you ever discovered a lie that changed everything? Share your story in the comments below.